Yes lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Now today, I'm going to be discussing 5 things going wrong with Leicester City right now. So, after an absolutely awful return to the Premier League season for the Foxes, of course we drew to Watford and Brighton, lost to Chelsea, descenders out of the FA Cup, and most recently lost to Everton in the Premier League as well. So, it's fair to say it's been an absolutely awful return to the Premier League season for the Foxes. So with that being said, today I'm going to run through 5 things going wrong with Leicester City right now, and hopefully these 5 things can change, because if they don't, believe me, we are not getting Champions League football. But just before we get into it, make sure a big thumbs up down below on today's video if you guys enjoyed today's video, 5 things going wrong with Leicester City. If you guys want to see some more videos just like this, make sure to let me know by smashing a like down below on today's video. While you're down there, make sure you come see my face on your screen before. We are now on the road to 1,200 subscribers. A big thanks to all the recent support on all the live streams, all of that good stuff. So if you're new around here and you haven't seen my face before, make sure you head down below and hit the subscribe button, guys, because it does help out a lot. Also, turn on my channel post notifications so you never miss any future videos on the channel just like this one. The content is still coming thick and fast, even though Leicester are absolutely awful at the moment. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos at the moment. Also follow me on all my social medias, they'll be down there. Links to them will be in the description down below. And most importantly, let me know your thoughts on my points in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you not? Let me know in the comment section down below. But without further ado, let's get into 5 things going wrong with Leicester City right now. So, on to point number 1. There is simply no plan B. So, no plan B. We've seen it so many times since the Premier League has restarted. We've been chasing the games, trying to get 3 points after a drawn position, and most recently, trying to salvage a point or make it a draw to go to extra time in the FA Cup game against Chelsea. And simply, we just don't have a plan B. We can't change formation. We don't have nothing. Brendan Rodgers is so stubborn. He doesn't change the formation. He doesn't bring anyone else on ready to change the game. He just sticks to the same playing style, just passing it around the back in the 90th minute when we're chasing the game, which is the most frustrating thing. We have no one to bring off the bench. Yes, Islam Somani is the perfect player, but for some reason he's out to know. He'll be the perfect player to come in. We can lump the ball up to Islam, and we all know Slimani can head the ball. Yes, he's not the greatest of player, he's probably not the greatest player to start, but if we're chasing the game, if we're losing to Everton, but to Burnley at home, that's just sitting back for the whole half, we have nothing. We literally can't break through teams. We just consistently pass around the back and get absolutely nowhere. So if you had someone off the bench, a tall striker, someone else who could change the game, obviously Vardy is nowhere near tallest, and especially when you got Marco O'Brien going ping, cross to Vardy, who's up against like 6 foot centre backs. It just doesn't work, and I really don't get it. We have no plan B. That's our main downfall. We just don't change the game, especially in losing positions. It's so hard to break teams down just when we keep trying to pass it around the back. It really doesn't work. In the past, we have had a plan B. We saw that when Leicester won the league. If we were struggling, Ulloa came on, he offered something different, he was a threat, he could head the ball. That's what we have. We've got a player who can do that. Slimani, he's out on loan for about the 4th season in a row. Don't ask me where Slimani is at the moment. I don't have a clue. But next season, if he did have Slimani, he could be the perfect player to lump the ball into the box and try and build up that. At the moment, we have nothing. In my opinion, stick Big Wes up front, put Johnny Evans up front, Soonchu up front, etc. They just offer something different. We don't change the game, and that's really a bit. It's been our downfall. We've seen that so many times since the Premier League has came back. Teams have worked Leicester out, and we just can't break through teams when teams sit back. And with no plan B, it's never going to happen, and we're never going to win the game, because we just don't change formation, we don't change tactics, and teams just know exactly what we're going to do. Pass, and we just don't get it. Especially when teams sit back, Jamie Vardy can't do anything because he can't get behind. So we need a big striker, a plan B, something different, which will completely change the game and hopefully get us the 3 points. Especially in the games against Brighton at home, most recently Everton away, and Chelsea. I mean, in most of the games really. Obviously the Watford game, well, we did snatch the late winner, but you know, yeah, we conceded a goal 2 minutes later, you know, I won't talk about that. But in those sort of games, Slimani would have been the perfect man. A plan B, a change of tactics, a change of formation. I'm not saying change the tactics just to lump up the field, but just a different type of formation, bring players into the game. I don't know, go down the wings a bit more, attack, something different. There's no intensity. I'll move on to that later, but I think we just need to have a different sort of approach to the game. Just put a big man up front and it would work. And especially in all the games we played, it would have worked. We've been chasing every single game to try and get the 3 points, and we just can't break through teams. We keep passing it around the back and we get nowhere. We could just lump it up front to someone like Somani. Yes, it might not work every time, but one time the ball will get knocked down and we have a chance. It's better than passing it around the back, if you get me. So yeah, I think the plan B, no plan B, just plan A, no change whatsoever. yes, Brendan Rodgers is stubborn, it works when it works, but when it doesn't change, and that is a real downfall in his managerial career. So yeah, that is the first point, no plan B, and it's very frustrating to watch Leicester consistently pass the ball around the back when we could just stick a big man up front and possibly get a goal from it. So yeah, that has been a big downfall of our recent form, with having no plan B just to change the game in the final few minutes, or even the whole game really. So against Everton we could have quickly changed at half time or something, but yeah, no plan B is a big mistake for Leicester in my opinion. Moving on to point number 2, there is no intensity going forward. So obviously with Leicester now playing the possession type of football under Brendan Rodgers, we need to have the intensity, we need to have the final pass which can break for the team. Yes, passing it around the back's good, but when you consistently pass it around the back for long periods of time, we need to have that a bit of intensity in the final third, make that pass to separate the team and break the team through, but we just haven't had that in the recent games, and that's been a real downfall. Yes, possession football does work now and again, but if you have possession, you need to have the final pass. You can't just play possession for possession's sake. You need to have the man in the middle who can make that final pass and break the team apart, who can make things happen and have that bit of intensity. Yes, we've shown it a few times, a few 1-2s, but we need to have that more. We need to be breaking teams, full throttle at teams' possession. Yeah, passing it around the back's good, like I said, but you need to have that person, that midfielder who can change the game, just like James Maddison. We need to have that bit of intent in the final third, which can break a team down and hopefully lead to a goal. Especially in the game against Brighton. Of course, Brighton at home, they just sat back for the whole of the second half for 45 minutes straight. If we just had a bit of intensity in the final third, I think we could have easily breaking through Brighton. Obviously, they're good defensively, but with players like James Maddison, Yuri Tielemans all in the team, even players like Vardy, who can just spin off quickly. He's got that quick acceleration. You would have thought we could just break teams down. Then teams have worked this out now. If they sit back, Leicester just really struggle to get through because we simply have no intensity. We have no ideas, no final pass, which is the main thing. Yes, we do get into some positions, but the final product and the final pass is just not there, and there's no intensity whatsoever. Teams sit back, counter-attack, and they can score. We saw that against Everton as well most recently. We just need to have that final bit of energy in the midfield third, in the final third, just to get players in behind and then create the chance. The final products is not there either, and the just intensity is not there. Pass around the back. It just doesn't work in my opinion. We need to get players more into the game. Players need to offer. If you have intensity, we just need to have more movement going forward. People making options, but just so static as well. That's the main problem in midfield as well. We just need to have a bit more intensity in there just to break teams apart. And I think if you had intensity in midfield, we could have easily won at least 2 of the games, especially against Watford, Brighton, even the Everton game as well. If we just had a bit of intensity in the final third, with teams just sitting back, we could have easily beaten them, and that's been our main downfall as well. I think we could have got 3 points in a lot of games if we just had that final cutting edge to break through the teams. Moving on to point number 3, Leicester City simply have no squad depth. This is a massive concern for me, especially if you get Champions League football, which is probably not going to happen now because we've absolutely bottled it. But even if you do get Europa League football, which it's looking unlikely that we'll even get that right now. But yeah, moving on from that, we just have no squad depth whatsoever. On the bench, we just have nothing to change the game. That links to the plan B as well, I guess, but we just have no one in there. Yes, the first team is definitely high quality, pushing for Champions League, but if any of the key players get injured, just like Ricardo, James Maddison, we've seen it, James Maddison, we have no one off the bench. Yes, we can play Tielemans and Pratt, and that's a good midfield starting, but if any of them two get injured, we are screwed. Who are we going to bring on? Hamza Chowdhury, another defensive midfielder. We saw that against Chelsea. We just have no options on the bench. Yes, the blame does go to Brendan for the Chelsea game with the substitutions, but realistically, does he have anyone to bring on attackingly? No. Yes, he can bring Demarai Gray on, Kelechi Iheanacho, but that is literally it. Half our bench is just defenders and defensive midfielders, which can't change the game. So it's a massive concern for me, especially if we do get Champions League football. You know, it's not likely, but even if we should get Europa League football, as a minimum, in my opinion, I mean, especially playing Thursday and Saturday to get Europa League, we just don't have the squad depth. And if we do get in, we don't improve in the summer, we don't bring players in, we're going to struggle in the Premier League if we take the European competition seriously. So it's a massive concern for me, and we're just seeing that so far in the games, with the lack of squad depth. This is the thing separating Leicester from being an average team to a good team. It's the final bit in the jigsaw. If we can have better squad depth, I think Leicester could be a real top team. Yes, our first 11 is absolutely brilliant. We have a few good players on the bench, but if he could just improve some players, we saw that with Chelsea. Frank Lampard just had the bench to completely change the game, change the midfield, bring on players like Kovacic, Bartley, and if he had them, I think they'd be starting every day of the week in our team. If we could just have a bit more squad depth, teams like Manchester City have ridiculous squad depth, so do Liverpool, and that's why they are top teams. So do Manchester United. That is why they are up there, and right now in the season when players are getting tired, there's more injuries, them teams are performing because they have the squad depth, they have the players to bring on. Leicester simply don't have that. We have nothing off the bench, and like I said, if we are going to get European football next season, season we have to invest in some more players, who can sit on the bench in the Premier League but play in the European competitions, or either way. We just don't have the squad depth. We have nothing to bring on to change the game, and that links to having no plan B as well. So I just need to have a few more players on the bench who can just change the game, bring something on, change the game. Just like I said, against teams like Brighton, Everton, who just sit back for the whole game, we can't change anything. We just have the same players coming on, and we can't mix it up. And even teams will probably know, they'll probably bring Granny and Asher on. It's way too easy to read, and we just need to change things up, get some more experienced players in there. Hopefully, if you get European football next season, which at the moment it's not looking likely. On to point number 4, Jamie Vardy is isolated. So since the restart, Jamie Vardy has got a grand total of 0 Premier League goals, and to be honest, it's because he's isolated. It's probably not Jamie Vardy's fault. It's just the midfield and the attack is way too far apart. Jamie Vardy is simply getting no service. He's on his own. If he does get the ball, he has to wait about 5 seconds for the players to come up. Then the other opposition team can get back. We saw that against Watford in particular. Vardy is so isolated up front, and that just leads to Leicester having no threat as well. Yes, we can bring the ball forward. We can send it long to Vardy, but if the opposition has got players coming back, Vardy can't really do much. Jamie Vardy's not the type of player to take on a few people and score one goal, is he? He's that type of player who needs it in behind and then he can score. And we don't have that because there's too much of a gap between the midfield and Jamie Vardy. And a player, in my opinion, who makes that gap even bigger is James Maddison. James Maddison needs to be right behind Vardy. We saw it last season under club world tours of soccer. And when Brendan Rodgers came in, we need to have Maddison right behind Vardy, and Maddison can play those balls in behind, and them two were absolutely brilliant last season at that. This season it has worked, but just after Christmas, Vardy's been way too isolated, and most recently he's been even more isolated, and he's barely even touching the ball, and that's a big problem for Leicester. Obviously, Jamie Vardy is probably Leicester's most important player. Without Jamie Vardy, Leicester are nothing. Literally, the whole team's based around Vardy, in my opinion. You have the players to get it through, thread the passes through to Vardy, and at the moment, we just can't do that. And with teams sitting back, Vardy's still isolated for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. And when teams sit back, Vardy can't do much either. And that's a big problem for Vardy. Yes, he's getting older, but in my opinion, I don't think it's too much of an issue. As players get older, they take longer to get back into the swing of things. We see that with Harry Kane. When the Premier League season comes back, Harry Kane barely ever scores in August. So I think the same sort of thing is going to happen with Vardy. But to be perfectly honest, we can't really blame too much on Vardy, and he's way too isolated. And this is the reason why Leicester have only scored 2 goals so far. 2 goals, for God's sake. And I think we should have scored that in one game against freaking Brighton and Watford. It's absolutely ridiculous how bad we've been so far. But yeah, that is probably the main reason for a downfall. Just Jamie Vardy is just so isolated up front, and without Vardy we have nothing. Yes, Kelechi Iheanacho is improved leaps and bounds this season, but he's nothing like Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy in front of the goal, when he gets a chance, he takes them. I mean, Jamie Vardy needs to have those. He needs to get the service to take those chances and score the chances. So yeah, it's a massive downfall for Leicester. Vardy just being simply so isolated up top. So last but not least, moving on to point number 5, no Ricardo Pereira at right back. So you're probably thinking, yes, he's a right back. It's not the most important position on the pitch. If it's a CDM, a central midfielder, yes. But Ricardo Pereira, we've really seen how much of a difference he makes to the team. Since Ricardo has not been in the team, we've looked like a completely different team. We have no threat down the right-hand side. Obviously, James Justin's came in and fair play, he's done quite a decent job. But yeah, James Justin is no Ricardo Pereira. Ricardo offers so much going forward, and defensively, he's one of the best players as well defending. He's got the most tackles, I think, he's in the top 5 tackles, most interceptions as well in the Premier League, and we really do miss him. I think Ricardo is the player which simply makes Leicester tick. I thought that was Wilfred Ndidi, but Ricardo, with no Ricardo right back, we just look like a completely different team. Yes, right back's not the most important position, but he just offers so much. Defensively, he's absolutely quality. Going forward as well, he offers so much. He's probably better than most wingers as well. He can play right back, and he can probably play right mid, in my opinion. He offers so much, and when him and Ayuso Perez on the same side, them two do absolute wonders. Yes, James Justin's decent, he doesn't go forward as much. Ricardo, honestly, he's so missed, and that's probably the main reason for a downfall. Ricardo Pereira, honestly, he's such a good player. Especially when teams are sitting back, Ricardo Pereira can be that man to break the team down. He can go and run, skill a few players on, cross it into the likes of Jamie Vardy. Ricardo just offers something different going forward. Yes, he's not the most skillful players, but really, just when Ricardo gets going, he's a rapid player and he can really get in. Yeah, he doesn't do step overs, but his close control just separates the team apart, and he can really do things going forward. Obviously, he's got a good goal threat as well. He arrives late into the box and scores. We saw that against West Ham. Yes, James Justin doesn't offer that. I know teams are really sitting back, but like I said, Ricardo Pereira can be that man to go forward, drive the team forward, and bring players forward as well, which can lead to chances. And yeah, that's probably the main thing for a downfall as well. Just no Ricardo Pereira in the team. Leicester just look like a completely different team defensively and going forward without Ricardo Pereira at right back. So the boys and girls, that is it for today's video. 5 things going wrong with Leicester City right now. Do you agree with my decisions? Do you not? Let me know in the comment section down below. But it's Crystal Palace next up for the Foxes, and that game, believe me, is must win. But we'll get onto that later in the match preview coming out later on today if you are watching this before the past preview is out. But yeah, if you have enjoyed today's video, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. But anyway guys, that is it for today's video. I've been Sportsa, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.